We're losing a lot of our soldiers because they fail to have a conversation, or someone fails to have a conversation with them. We've had a couple of people, kill themselves at the VA hospital. A lot of our VA system is not covered by anyone that has ever served. So you think they really give a damn about your mental health? They would say, oh, it's all in your head. What happens in between those years that you're spiraling, you're struggling?
Real talk for the bold, bruised, and built to last. Welcome to the Built This Way podcast with Patricia Muellen.
You ever have one of those friends where you meet them randomly and then within 3 minutes you just start crying? No? Weird? That's just me? Because that happened to me and a friend of mine who actually is here today. Through another group, I don't know, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, connected us. And we had so many things in line on our same journey that we continue to keep talking. So I want to introduce you today, someone that lives purpose and service and her mission and helping others. Her name is Donna McClendon, my beautiful friend who is now residing in Texas. When we met, she was running her, she still is, her own nonprofit called Let's Talk Vets. And you've heard me skate around the conversation. Perhaps we'll get into a little bit more about my journey with that, my passion, and why I'm so passionate also about helping vets. She got me out of a lot of shit, mentally, emotionally, and things, because that's what she does. And she also has her own retreat company called the Black Collective Experience. So, an entrepreneur, a sister from another mister who's always out supporting. She's always sharing things in the show and whatnot. So I wanted to just have a conversation with my girlfriends and let y'all listen to it. Welcome, Donna. Let's talk some boundaries, girl. How's it going?
Hey, beautiful. I'm excited to be here. And yes, we're here to share some things. And it was amazing. The first time we met each other, we ended up in tears in the first 3 minutes of meeting each other. It was like, oh my God.
Which is not a normal thing, but you just sometimes, like, for whatever reason, you meet someone and your heart opens up.
Yes. And it was a connection. And I mean, I've enjoyed the journey that we've had and the things that we've been through and talked about and the things that we are going to create through here. So I'm excited to talk about a whole lot of things because, boundaries is something that we definitely need to work on.
I met you at an event where we were trying to just do marketing for our businesses. I think it was like a photo shoot or a content day or something like that.
It was a content day.
Yeah, so we all had lunch and we just started talking about our past experiences and then whatnot. And, you're a veteran. Thank you so much for your service. So you served in the Army?
Yes, Army and Air Force.
Army and the Air Force. Okay, that's incredible. Tell me about that a little bit. Like, what made you decide to join?
Well, I mean, I decided to join because I'm adopted. So 2 of us graduated on the same day. So my parents couldn't really afford for us to go to college. And my main goal was to go to college. So I decided that the Air Force was the best way to go. So I started off in the Air Force, was doing a really good thing, but my grandmother got sick. And so I was thinking that going home would have been the best thing for me. So going home and setting up to try to be her caregiver, she passed away a couple of months after I got back. So I was in the reserves for a while and then I wanted to go back active duty. And unfortunately, my oldest son's father was an Army recruiter at the time. And he was like, well, you can go back in the Army. So I wound up in downgrading from the penthouse to the poorhouse. But, hey, it paid the bill.
What did you do in the Air Force and what did you end up doing in the Army?
I was a radio operator in the Air Force. I was mobility and I was global. So I enjoyed it a whole lot. But then I wound up going over into the Army and wound up going into logistics. I was 88 November. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too terrible because at the end of the day, it did teach me a lot. It definitely gives you a different see of how things go because in the Air Force, you're well taken care of. And basically in the Army, you're just like living in the slums. It is what it is, and so it was a very big downgrade to what I'm used to. So, but I managed. I got through it, got 2 degrees out of it. So at the end of the day, it's all about trial and tribulations. Everybody, doesn't choose this path for a lot of people like, oh, I went to the military to serve my country. No, at the end of the day, a lot of us that grew up in certain areas, we went into the military to become better people and be able to go to school. So we take what we can get and do what we can do with what we have. So there's a lot of good things about it. There's a lot of bad things about it because you have great leadership and then you have very poor leadership. So it's all about what you deal with and what you're willing to take.
Yeah, you and I have had conversations at length about that. So when it came to like the Air Force versus the Army, I'm just curious, sidebar, is it because of what they pay? Is that what
No,
it was?
it's the same. It is
It's
the same. Nothing changes. The same. It just depends on, the rank and everything else. Air Force, you get your rank based on what you know, and Army is based on what you can regurgitate.
Hmm.
So it's not about what you know in the Army. It's about whose ass you kiss
Oh.
in order to, be promoted. So when I went into the army, I was already E5 because I tested and I got my job. I was promoted. But once I went into the army and I realized that you don't really test on what you learn and what your job is. It's about what you can regurgitate off a book and where you stand in front of someone and they're basing you off of your uniform and the things that you can quote back. And it didn't seem like it was professional because just because you can memorize something is just like remembering your ABCs. If I can tell you that, then I move on to the first grade. So at the end of the day, if you can perform these things, but you still can't tie your shoes and you still can't cross the street, you're still worthy enough of being promoted. And half of these people couldn't find their way to the stop sign without getting lost. And it's like, yeah, I don't want that. So I refused to go to any boards. I was like, I'll stay at E5 until I decide to leave, but I won't ever go to a board. I just chose that that's just not the way I wanted to show what I was capable of. And it didn't show leadership. It just showed that you can repeat something back after something's been beat into you so long. It's almost like the that experiment with the dogs. If you do it enough, they'll learn how to do it.
Uh,
It's just it's a horse and pony show, a dog and pony show, like you could say. That's exactly what it is.
this, and I don't want to, like my intention was to never talk down about any service, but you just said some things that made me really think. One is I always had some kind of shame that I just was like, I went in as an E5 basically because of the education that I already started. And then I was out so quickly. And then the other part of it is I had a very small experience of what you're talking about, but I thought that was me or the situation or that whatever at the time. And I think it was just the time of the times, honestly, because it was plus.
For you, it wasn't that it was the time ran out fast. You were forced out.
Yeah.
So the scenario for you was totally different because it's a good old boys club when it comes to certain things when it comes to the military. So,
Yeah.
there are certain things as women we don't qualify for because even in the Air Force, we had some people that downsized us. So, like when I got pregnant, the first thing one of my NCOs said, he was like, well, if you were meant to have a family, you would have been issued one. And I'm like, so how did you get your family? Did they issue it to you?
Yeah.
But, men like to down talk women who decide to serve, who decide to work, who decides to be outside the house and that we don't want to be barefoot and pregnant our whole lives.
Well, or some there's some of us that can't be, even if we strive for that. I think that that's also corporate culture or just some cultures in general. I would like to say it's better, and I don't think every male or every culture is that way. But like for me in that time, there was not one female involved in that situation. You would have thought that that would have been the first thing they would have done is found other women in the leadership, but maybe at the time there was none to step in and also be another voice of reason. The other side of it is corporate situations I've had where the same thing. So it wasn't like there was anything different, or I don't even think, and then even when women were involved in those situations, it didn't necessarily help. It was just what was allowed. And to go to the point of what you wanted to talk about, boundaries as well. What I used to allow, how I used to carry myself as a youth, trying to prove herself, just joining the military, just joining the workforce actually at that time, having all these different traumas, having to go backwards emotionally and mentally because of it, trying to have to rebuild yourself again. All that shit's done is made me a stronger, better professional, a stronger leader, a more powerful woman, a more better, powerful friend,
Exactly.
and all these things. But the struggle that got there, that's not the highlights of life and what people
No,
see.
it's actually the hurdle you've actually crossed because as you know, I've started over more times than I can count. And I've been at the bottom where I've had to walk away from, you know, people thinking that we had the best life because I was married and we were both in the military. We had this house and we had the kids and we had all the things that look good on the outside, but no one knows what it looks like on the inside. But when you actually pack your stuff up and you strike out on your own and you're like, okay, now I have to figure this out and find out who I am and find out if I'm really worthy of getting this done. And I realized that as a woman by myself, if I put my mind to it, I can do just about anything that I want to do. I've thrived. I've learned that you don't have to have everything in place or everybody behind you to show you that you thrived. When I left my spouse, his whole family was like, oh, you're not going to make it. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have that. You need somebody to help you with these kids. But I had been a single parent before, so someone walking away from me or deciding that I wasn't their priority didn't really bother me. At first it did, it drove me crazy. But I was like, I have to be able to figure this out for my children. So I got out on my own. I found a job. I found my place and, I built my first home by myself. You
Yeah,
know,
I've been
I
there
was
with you.
able to show that I'm not this weak person that people tend to look at. I get that I don't have the strongest voice. So my voice makes it sound like I'm possibly this weak person. I grew up through trauma. My mother died when I was really young. So some of the things that I saw growing up and the things that I went through as an adolescent, as a teenager, and trying to ride these humps, I am one of the first people in my entire family to have multiple degrees.
Wow.
And it's not so that I can show that I'm better than anyone else. It's to show myself that I am capable of pulling myself from the rubble and being able to show other people that I am worthy of just as much as somebody that grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth.
Well, and it's amazing and it's incredibly powerful and it's God, the story that you have and being able to do all of that by yourself. And I'm thinking like, yeah, I've been there and doing it by myself. But I got to tell you, when you have the right partner to help you do those things, the things you can also accomplish is so much better. And even my first marriage, it was the wrong partner.
Uh-huh.
It's not about having somebody or being or having these makeup things. It's having the right person with you or the right team or the right support. And you're talking about doing all this stuff solo. And at the same time that you talk about doing all these things solo, everything that you do happens to be helping and supporting other people that have also been through those things. I mean, you have an organization that literally helps other veterans, right? And veterans come out of, the military. They're not in the military as veterans, they're as servicemen and women, right? They're active duty participants, they're soldiers. And then they come out as a veteran, and all of a sudden, what the fuck now? And they feel super alone, and there's men and women, and there's all of these sorts of things and resources, and they don't know and understand why. And by the way, you just went from what you said in the beginning, it's what you can repeat. So they're very intelligent. They've been able to get through all this stuff, but they've had a path set for them this whole time in a support system. When you're out, you're out. So
Yeah.
where's the support system? So let's talk a little bit about let's talk vets. Let's talk vets. That's all right.
When it comes to being a veteran, we are in this place, what do they call it, where you're in prison and you're being indoctrinated and it's just the day in and day out. you know what you're going to do from the moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep when it comes to the military. You know that it's like clockwork when it comes to the military. The minute we put that uniform down and we take off those boots and we wind up in the civilian world, we sit back and we're like, okay, who's going to tell me what to do now? Now I have to navigate the civilian world that I haven't navigated in 20 something years. It's just
Yeah.
like before the cell phone came out or the internet came out. What were we doing before all of that?
Nokia phones and stuff, because that around my time, I mean, I had to. I mean, all of a sudden I was just out. So all of a sudden I had to get find my house. All my stuff was already sold. My car, I had to get another car, like everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It's
it's
starting
like
complete.
starting over.
It's a
Going back.
whole new, it's a
Still work.
blank canvas. But you come out, you have some education, but you're uneducated about how to navigate the VA system. Because a lot of our veterans, they get out and they go get these $80,000, $90,000 jobs. So they automatically assume I don't need the VA, I don't need the health care, I don't need all of that. I have that through my job. But then they get to this place where they're like, okay, I'm paying so much for insurance, I'm paying so much for meds. And then you give them this thing, this piece of information that the VA will cover these things for a lifetime. The things that you can get as far as getting rid of your home owner's your tax stuff on your house, your property taxes, and your disability tax and things that you need. So if you come down with MS and you come from being able to walk to not walking, why would you go pay $30,000 for a wheelchair when the VA will give you one created just for you for free?
Well, I'll tell you why, because this is why I've never done it, and it's hard to go back and have to revisit shit or to just deal with it. So, say you're in it and you retire and you feel good, and you're living your life and you're totally healthy. Because I have friends like this. I don't need it. I'm fine. I have a career. I want to do it. They want to have that outside of that. They also don't want to get re-dragged in, and it's a free thing to be done with it. The other side of it is, oh, I have to go through all the things or what, you know what I mean? And even if you feel that way, like, I don't need it, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Other people need it more than me, that sort of thing. They don't know how to even do that. So that's what Let's Talk Vets does. That's what you're basically helping.
Talk Vets is a place where people can come and really just be able to have a conversation about what's going on. You know,
Okay.
a lot of it, like I said, I tell a lot of veterans, yeah, you may not need it now, but what are you going to do when the shitstorm comes like it's been coming, where people are losing their jobs at the last minute and there's no income?
Mhm.
Your VA money is your forever money. You know, at least you know that even if you're getting 30, 40, 50%, even if you're not 100%, that's a check that you can at least know you can count on at the end of the month.
So
And let's not say again.
are you having group talks then, or group meetings? Like,
I
what's
was at one point. We haven't done the group talks in a minute. It has been a little bit of a while since all my transitioning and stuff. I used to do monthly meetings where we get on and we talk about different scenarios and we do different things. But that's where the retreat started to come in at, where, you know, we talk about affirmations and we talk about stress and we teach people about therapy and all of that good stuff, because a lot of our people were denied therapy while they were active duty because behavioral health was a reason why people were getting kicked out. You couldn't have anything wrong with you in order for you to be proficient and ready for the military. But people didn't understand that, you know,
because of
going
you, I have something wrong with me.
yeah, you need to be able to acknowledge that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, well, that's hard for
And it
a lot.
is. It's hard. It's really hard. And it's a lot. It's even harder for some of our men. It's sometimes hard for our women. But we have to realize that we're losing a lot of our soldiers because they fail to have a conversation or someone fails to have a conversation with them. You
Yeah.
know, because we've had a couple of people kill themselves at the VA hospital because that's where the lack of concern was. But then people don't realize that a lot of our VA system is not covered by anyone that has ever served. So you think they really give a damn about your mental health? They would say, oh, it's all in your head, or, you know, let me give you these pills, and then they'll send you about your way, and they'll see you once a year.
Mm.
what happens in between those years that you're spiraling, you're struggling. We have way too many veterans that are homeless. Why? There are so many programs out there for transition assistance. It helps you get a place to stay. But the problem with the program is that it's not sustainable. So a lot of people get left out. They don't know what's going on because every state is different. No one knows how to navigate these systems. How many homeless people have access to the internet to be able to find out where these programs and stuff exist? It's not like they're sitting around and they got, phones that they can connect with. And if they do, they're not thinking about that because now their medication is either drugs or alcohol.
So you're doing outreach. That's so sad. And there's like a one in every, that there was a really awful statistic about suicide and veterans and PTSD. And so basically you're doing community and outreach and resources and connections.
Yes, and I mean, I've been trying to, expand a little bit more, but most of my time is just talking to people that are willing to listen,
Yeah.
or people that, get sent my way. I'm like, I'm willing to help you if you're willing to help yourself. I can't do it for you. The only thing I'm here for is to give you the information that's out there for you because, it's not deserving of 100%. Not saying that, but you're deserving of something. And even if you don't have a percentage, you're still eligible for VA care. You're still got money that you can be getting an education with if you didn't get it while you're on active duty. It's money left on the table that's out there.
Yeah, and it's not just say make it seem like it's, you got to get this, like, you see those commercials for insurance and stuff, and it's like, get yours. That's not the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, money from the government, get you some. But it's one of those because there's so many other things around it, and so I guess my advice, I guess, would be, because this is, you put me through this, and I didn't want to, and I was that person. And it's not done me, whatever. And I'm still in that mode. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't need anything from them, blah, blah, blah. Unless you talk to my husband, he's like, you need to get your mortgage, like whatever. But we met at an event, and then we ended up doing an event together. It was like a comedy fundraiser, which kind of was like, it's awkward because the comedians were like, really? Like, no, audience. I didn't read it at all. We're sitting here with a bunch of like veterans and like, ministers and whatnot. And the content was like, not for us, but it was okay, and, so then you had an event at the library where you had Tony come, and he was just basically giving information. And I'm one of those people, because I'm like, no, I'm not a veteran because this is my situation. And literally I told him, and he was just floored. And he's like, you 1,000% are, and this is the situation and whatnot. And I had since put in for my information to the VA to get my information. And then first they told me it didn't exist, which was like, oh, that's awesome, because my name had changed or whatever. Like, they just had some shit wrong. 6 months later, like on Veterans Day, like around that time, I get the damn CD with all my shit on it. And I was like, Myers, I told you I was there. But, I had a weird thing where literally a congressman pulled me out. And so no one knows what happened with my file or why it stopped. And so I have these little things where it's like all blacked out and stuff, like where you could see someone Sharpied over it and stuff. And the legit DD 214 is not there, but everything else happens to be. It's just so weird. And it's a discouraging thing because you feel like you're fighting this beast. Like, I imagine some dude in a basement underneath the ground having to go and find this motherfucking file for me. And then he sent me a letter apologizing on a typewriter, no less. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Where'd you get this?
Shit. And so then I get this thing, and I was like, oh, at least it's validating. I'm not crazy. That actually happened, because I was in a room where a bunch of dudes told me it didn't happen. And for people that don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, as I was assaulted in the beginning of my career. And then I did the thing because I was terrified. I was like, I don't want to be there. And my boyfriend at the time's mother worked for the local congressman for my district. And he just, heartbroken ex-boyfriend, like, went to his mom and blah, 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 blah. So this dude intervened for me. And then 20 years later, I worked for that congressman, which is like a wild, crazy point of events. My career has just been so wild because I never met him. He called me over the phone and pulled me out of the military. Just called me. So I'm looking over my shoulder. Now I'm at Applebee's in like Three Rivers, Michigan, just like thinking that someone's going to come in and get me because I'm AWOL, because I listened to some dude and went home.
Right.
Like, fuck.
I'm going to jail.
I'm totally gonna go to jail. Yeah, thinking that. And I never did. And he sent me a letter, so it was in writing, and I still have that. Damn thing's damn near see-through from his typewriter with his old official seal. So like I know there's a reason went through all that stuff, but at the time, the gaslighting that happened was a motherfucker. And when I met you, I couldn't get through that story without crying because it was like I didn't exist to me. I couldn't. You try to forget about details of those
And
things.
I mean, you had totally given up the fact that you were in the military. You kept saying, I'm not a veteran. I'm not a veteran. It's like, okay, you don't feel like you're a veteran, but you went in, you did what you're supposed to do, and it got disrupted by some evil person. So,
Yeah.
I've talked to so many people that have been down and out, and, you're not my first MST person that I've talked to. And since I've talked to you, I've been talking to other people, and they're more willing to share their story because of
Oh,
the
we
story
proceed.
that I tell about you. I
Wow.
tell people, it's a possibility to use your voice for more than just a sad story. I get it. It's painful. It hurts because we've all been down that road. I've been there. I've never been assaulted, but I've also been in a place where I've been mentally assaulted. So, I've been harassed, in certain workplaces because you feel like, oh, you're a woman, you need to be here. So you need to listen to what I say. So you have to accept it. And it's like, no, I'm not,
Yeah.
because I would rather be broken, poor, living on the street before I allow someone to dictate how I live my life because you feel like you own me. You don't own me. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like I have no choice and I don't have a voice because so many people have given that so much play of taking your dignity away from you, and then they hold it hostage so you don't say anything, and it's not fair.
Yeah. Well, and just through life, you become a people pleaser, and then basically just people trample all over you or your boundaries at least for a while
But
until
the
you get to
problem is when you're by yourself and you've pleased all the people during the day, how do you feel at night?
exhausted and like whatever. And I don't do that now. I mean, I'm better at it now, but and so that was the thing. So when I joined, or I was excited, I was already in school. This girl, the nice, good-looking girl with a uniform, comes in the bathroom. I'm at college, for God's sakes, and they recruited me out of school. Like, by the way, they should just be stay the fuck out of schools. They're already on a path. You know what I'm saying?
Like I'm headed somewhere already.
I was like, I was already going somewhere.
High school, one thing, but college, no.
Already in college. So I'm at, Glen Oaks Community College in Centerville, in the freaking cornfield of all places. And that's how they found me. And the next thing I know, and they promised you all these things and this really cool job and blah, 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 blah. And it's going to be the rid of the world. And I did get a very first short snapshot. I mean, all of a sudden I had an instant family. I had a lot of excitement out of the gate. And then it ended really quickly. And then I just felt like really alone and like I did something wrong and that I was not, like, for whatever reason, worthy. On the other side of that, sorry, it's not emotion, it's just my voice. It's, to me, the most utmost like thing when I meet another veteran, because I have so much respect for them. I know what they went through and what they survived and what they sacrifice. So that's why I'm always like, thank you. It's
Yeah, because
just,
we
I
we
wish I would have been
sacrifice a
able to be
lot of
there with
our
you. You know?
we sacrifice our mental stability, our bodies, to be able to create a path that we knew we couldn't have created if we wouldn't have
Country
went
was
that route, you know.
not for our veterans. So we wouldn't have this country.
Right.
I would podcast, you and I, as women of color, would not be as free and being able to do and speak, and if for not other people that sacrificed for our country. I have a flag on my shirt. It was not on purpose. I just happened to feel this shirt today. And then the guy before us on the podcast had like a flag behind him. I was like, it's an America Day. Um, and I'm loving the theme, but like with that, I don't know if it was because of that. My stepfather before me and my father before that, but he died when I was so young that I didn't get the adult, like the growing up exposure to him. But my stepfather was a military veteran from Vietnam. And he never changed that lifestyle in his head. He was still like whatever he was in, like rank, because we don't really know if that was the case. It was like one of those things. And we always moved around a lot. And so I also think like it was part of trying to want to like impress my parents too. And they were so pissed. Like they didn't talk to me when I left because they didn't know the entire story, or, it was just like so much. And they will get a hold of your parents too when you're young and tell you that you messed up, or that to try to get you to do whatever they want you to do. So like, and my parents didn't talk to me for the longest time. And then like 9/11 happened.
Oh yeah.
And then after that, I think my mom and I started talking again, because I think she was like then thankful that I wasn't overseas. So at least I was here and all that. But then like everybody's life changed. And then after that, I never wanted to be in so hard ever. And, so with all this stuff, when we're talking about like, even if you think that you're not, I'm telling you from like personal experience, friend, I've been there. I'm still there. But it was incredibly helpful and validating. And it made me feel less alone to have a conversation with somebody in particular, and at least discover or find out what they say about you. So, I mean, that would be my advice, is if you're like in that place where you need help, or you don't know where to start, and you have your file and you need, is to start that research. And if you don't know where to start, get a hold of Donna, because she will put you literally in the right direction. And with that, just learning about how to talk about things, because again, when I talked to you the first time, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And now here I am telling my story, which is fucking crazy, because I wouldn't have, if you told me that, I'd be like, there's no way I'm talking about that shit on a podcast. Like, that's so fucked up. But here we are, right? And that's because of you. And, also learning what you allow people to know about you, and what you allow people to do to you, and what you allow people to take from you, and what you allow basically give, which brings us back to the boundaries thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
Yeah,
I've taught myself that I used to think that my voice didn't count. And I felt like, saying stuff to people would just take it for what it was and move on with it. And it never changed anything. So I used to just not say anything. I would just hold everything in. And then after a while, I realized that it affects your health to a point to where it sickens your mind to the point where you literally don't want to be here anymore.
wow.
So my boundaries had gotten so out of control. I had allowed, my spouse to just do whatever, and, tried to get back together, and it turned even worse, where he was crossing boundaries, tapping my phone, stalking, and just being
Oh shit.
straight up just out of his mind.
That's
And I
stalker.
literally I literally walked away from a brand new home because after he had lived in it and we parted ways and all the drama that came to it, I had to leave my home just to find my peace again. I literally had to start over, and I had to start realizing that other people's problems is not my problem.
Oof.
You can't just walk around here and carry everybody else's burdens because they choose not to carry their own. If you're irresponsible, you're just irresponsible. Don't get pissed off at me because I'm doing better than you and doing better than I did with you. And I'm doing better without you. And now you want to sabotage it because you hate that you didn't grow the way you should have grown. So I've learned to say, you know what? I am in control of how I do things, the people that I have in my life, and how long I want you here. Because the minute now, I don't wait for you to do the wrong thing. I see that you're walking in the wrong path or you're heading in the wrong direction with me. I go ghost real quick.
Well, so it's not up to people to adhere to our boundaries, right?
Yeah.
It's up to us to enforce them. And people will treat you exactly how you will allow them to treat you. And it's not because you're protecting yourself and closing yourself off because you're trying to be a bitch. It's because
Mm-mm.
you're protecting yourself, because there's only so much energy And if you're going to be good in other areas, we have to have those walls up. And you're talking more like relationships when it comes to like ex-spouses and things. But I'm literally, as you're talking, thinking about a friendship situation that I
Oh
talked to
yeah,
you
I mean you've
about,
already seen some of the friendship.
where
Friendships
people take advantage.
pull out.
Yep, and people take advantage of your kindness or your willingness to, or because they think that, well, you have the bandwidth, it's okay. You
Mhm.
have the resources, you have the money, you have the time, you have the blank, blank, blank. And maybe they're not even being malicious in their mind to go, I'm gonna jump on somebody's boundaries today. It's because, and for whatever reason, some people go on autopilot where if they need something, you become the easy go-to. And I'm only saying this to you because this is what I recognize in myself. I used to be the person that would bend over backwards, and I still do this, but the environment that I do it in is different. This is a great way for me to mass serve and feel good about the fact that the people that I talk to or text back or messaged with or that are in my circle that I hang out with is very, very small.
Right.
And that is because I only have so much energy and good stuff. And talking yesterday to someone who's going to be an upcoming guest, he mentioned, well, I've talked to people and they'll do 4 or 5 podcasts or 10 of them in a day and they just batch them all. And I'm like, you know what? Great for them. But when I'm doing one, I'm there. It's an emotional roller coaster. I'm giving that person energy. Like I'm not physically with them, but I'm like in it with you. If you are happy, I'm happy. And if you become sad or you tell me something like, I'm going to start welling up and crying. It is me. But with the time I get done, I'm just like, oh, because it's real. But this is my way to be vulnerable and emotional and to put out all of those things that I want to do. So if somebody wants to go and look at that and pick this episode apart, I'm the one that put the shit out there.
Right.
That was my choice. I talked about these things, but I did it on my terms.
Exactly.
Whereas other people become, and this is just life. We've trained people, and I do this because this is the military did this, right? This is the beginning. They find people that are okay with them messing with your boundaries. If you had great boundaries, you won't join the fucking military, I'll tell you that. Because guess what? They will put their own boundaries on you. They don't care about your boundaries and things like don't touch me or don't yell at me or when I want to sleep, I want to sleep, or when I want to do this job or
Ain't
what
none of that in the military.
about any of that. So, they find these folks that are really okay with that in the beginning, which is fine. It's probably why they went to somebody in a community college and found me in the fucking bathroom. I was just probably prime, I was alone. I was estranged from my family. I wasn't dating anybody. Like I was literally like just this little like fish in the water by myself trying to figure it out in the world. Now, like, gotcha. She hasn't been, hardened enough. But there might be a little bit of trauma left in there for us to be able to do what we want to do. But that's what happened. And so, now because of all that, because of years of career bullshit and life stuff and all these just river dancing on my boundaries all the time, I realized it's not the world, honey. It's me. I'm the one that hasn't put a stop to this fucking
Mm.
mess. I'm the one that needs to be like, and it's so hard. People hate it when you put boundaries down. You're the worst. You're inconsiderate. You're not responsive. You're selfish. You only care about you. You're stingy, whatever they want to put on you for booing boundaries.
But you know what? They get to
Okay.
have that conversation with themselves because I no longer exist in that conversation. I can be all of those things. But guess what? While you're having that conversation, I am no longer in that room. I can be as selfish as I want to be. I can be as bitter as I want to be. But guess what? You don't get to walk all over me anymore. And you can be bitter by yourself because I have deleted you from my phone. I have blocked you on Facebook. Sometimes I leave you around just long enough to watch me still be great. But at the end of the day, I don't spin the block. I don't bend corners and I don't come back looking for what you've done to me. So I hope what I've given you and that you've taken from me, I hope you benefit from it because there'll never be another chance for you to do that again.
Yep, you can benefit me and hate for me from afar on the other side of the internet. And
That's
that's,
it.
it's a beautiful thing. I used to really, really care. And I would wake up and worry about people that literally like probably weren't getting up and even thinking about me, but for whatever reason, I was like, they're out to get me. And it was just like this, like you just go into this whole whatever. And I was, probably a little shaky being crazy and everything else too. Or maybe they really were out to get me, but like they could still be out to get me and listen. And I kind of, well, listen, I hope it's awesome if you do, because you're just helping my numbers. Or if you want to look or scroll or watch my shit, it's okay. I'll, happily unblock you from some of those things. But there's something freeing about being this other version of the self, because even though you're accessible and even though I'm out in the world and I'm sharing these stories that I used to hide from the world, and then it's like, okay, well, she's giving us something. Like, well, no, you're not accessible to me, because like this part of me that I used to hide, it was being stolen. It's part of my story. This chapter was like missing from this book. Well, here it is.
And it needs to be out there because I was that person where I'm an extrovert. No, I'm not an extrovert. I am an introvert. I'm one of those people that I can be around people for only so long. And
I
then
used to be an extrovert.
once my battery is depleted, I have to come home and I have to recover for a few days. I can be
I
that fun, outgoing person, and then I have friends call me 2 or 3 days and be like, "Are you alive?" Yes, just recovering from, peopling. So now I have to recover. So being a person where I created this path to be able to talk about it to other people about how to be able to give yourself self affirmations and be able to deal with self awareness, it comes from actual things that I've been through. I said, I don't feel like people should do things and they've never been through something. How can I teach you about trauma if you've never been through trauma? How can I
Yeah.
teach you about, self wellness or awareness of how your health will your health is a sacrificial lamb to how your stress can debilitate you. I've had my body literally give up on me because I was that person that needed to give everything to everybody at every minute. I'm a mom. I was a wife. I was a soldier. But Donna never fell nowhere in there. Donna had become a lost individual. And it took
Yeah.
a long time for me to dig her out because she no longer existed. The things that I wanted to do, my husband downplayed because I needed to be the center of attention for him and the things that he was trying to do, the things he was trying to build. I needed to be there to build him up. The kids needed me to be there to sacrifice and take care of them and feed them and keep them alive. And then on the other side, the military needed me to create missions, deal with missions, complete missions. And at the same time, my health was failing.
Yeah.
But nobody was there to throw me a life raft. I literally had to almost lose my life for me to say, it's now or never. If I don't get up and walk away from this debilitating life that I have created for myself, I'm going to die here. And no one's going to give a shit.
Yep.
The
Well,
only
yeah.
people that I leave behind are my children to grieve the fact that I didn't care enough for myself because I was waiting for someone else to care. And I
Well,
realized that no one cares more about me than I have to care about myself.
damn girl. Well, and now you teach people purpose after service.
You have to. Because
So
when we say service, our service is to other people. We're not serving ourselves. We're constantly thinking about our service. We constantly go back to, well, when I served, when I served, when I served. Now, who's serving you? What are you getting out of when you served? Because now that it's over, the military has literally turned its back on you. You are literally no one now. You could have been a lieutenant colonel. You could have been the toppest rank in the military. Once you take that uniform off, now you are just regular plain Jane and Tom John. That is it. Your past is your past. You have to learn how to know who you are as a human now.
let me jump in for a second, because I have some good friends, and in one in particular that he excelled in the military anyway. And, it was West Point grad, all that stuff. But like his career now is like off the chain. And it's because of what he's learned and his life there and his ability to adapt, and even working in an industry that he didn't know before. is excelling because his operational skills and being able to do project management, all this other stuff is something like that people just have never seen before. And he's able to do that. And let's just talk about the leadership style on top of that, like because he's able to lead people and be able to kind of push things forward and whatnot. So there is the other side of it. It's not to say that once you're done, like life sucks and blah, 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 and they don't care about it.
That's not what I'm talking about. People are still on 10.
But I want to talk before we go a little bit about the retreats because you were talking and you hit my soul. I am someone that is given everything to other people, and then all of a sudden you have these like autoimmune weird shit start to pop up because your body starts to attack you, be in pain and things, and then they don't realize that it's also stress triggered a lot of these things, and that's not something that people ever talked about before. It was never normalized up until like even recently. My mom would talk about how she had fibromyalgia back in the day, and then it was like, oh, and then, my stepdad would be like, oh, she's just crazy because she's got to take all these meds and this and that, not realizing the debilitating pain and what it would do. And by the way, I mean, he was fucking stressful for her and mentally abusive and just a shitty person. So like just being that and crazy and PTSD and all the things or whatever. So I mean, that probably was just
It's a culmination.
right fucking there because she's a spouse of that, right? But like all of that combined will suck your body into oblivion. And then when something really bad happens is when we tend to look at things and go, oh, I probably should try to figure this out. And by that point, it's too late. When stuff starts coming through your skin or your body or your joints, it's already attacking. Your body is screaming it can't take anymore. Right. So there's not like this point of like, hey, you should take care of yourself and work out and make sure that you've got some sort of purpose and got to talk to people and make sure that you're taking care of your mental health and drinking. Like, they don't do that. It's when something really, really fucking bad happens, is that when you go, oh, I got to do this stuff, or I'm having a breakdown, or they think I had a stroke, because that was me. They thought I had a stroke because of stress. And my doctor took the phone away from me and they couldn't figure it out. And then decades later, it's like, oh, well, it's because I had this and this and this and this and this. But, all these other elements and all these things have been living in my body this whole time. It never left.
Right.
It stays. Like you get traumatized, you get punched, you get a bruise if the outside goes away, but if you get mentally, emotionally fucked with or traumatized, the bruise stays inside of you.
Because certain triggers, even if it goes away, there are certain triggers that reignite that same wound.
I watched Lioness. I think it was what it was. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Taylor Sheridan show, but like I was watching with my in-laws about a year or so ago, and it's really close to the first episode. I wasn't expecting it. They just happened to put it on, and I was like, I know I didn't tell anybody, but like literally, I said like flashes of that because it was so close. The real thing. Taylor Sheridan is just a really amazing writer, anyway, and that's all this stuff or whatever. But maybe Columbia, because like she, it's the same one that played Columbiana, and it's like,
okay,
yeah, but certain things do trigger, and you just never know what it's gonna be. So that was one.
It can come at any moment in time. So, like you were talking about ailments, I deal with chronic pain. So a lot of people, when they see your disability plays, well, you don't look disabled. You don't have to be lost of a limb to be disabled. I'm like, I deal with chronic pain on a regular basis. There's days where people don't even know that I'm in so much pain that I can barely see straight. But I get up and I function because I have to. I don't have that luxury of just laying in the bed and not doing absolutely nothing.
Other kids, and there's a lot of people responsible for you. Is that why I would go to a retreat? Like, let's talk about the Black Collective, because
oh my God, I've had my first retreat about 2 years ago, and I just recently had my first veteran retreat back in March. These retreats come about because it's all about bringing people together and learning how to just choose you for a few days. Bringing yourself together, we learn how to journal. We learn how to meet new people. We sit and we have a round table talk or a fireside chat, and I give out a set of words or a set of words that will tell you, hey, we ask different questions, we deal with certain things, and we cover different things. But also, I want to be able to have feedback. What do you want to get out of this? What is your plan? What is your goal? So, like this first veteran retreat, it was basically to, it was called honor this soldier, no, honor the service, heal the spirit. It's about knowing that you serve, but now we need to heal the spiritual part of you. What part of you is hurting? What part of you is struggling? What part of you needs someone else that you can be able to comfortably have a conversation with, where you know that it's not a judgment scenario? Because you can have a conversation with someone, and the minute you say certain things, they instantly judge you like, oh, that was a choice you made. Like when I tell people about some of the things that I went through my spouse and my marriage, oh, you chose him. So basically, it's like, oh, it's your fault. You did that. That's on you. So
This gangster life chose me.
and it's like, well, we didn't go out purposely saying, I want to find the worst person on the planet to marry and have them abuse me emotionally, financially, or even physically, and have them just kick me around so I'll have a story to tell. No. No one sets themselves up for that. Even the military, we've had leadership that kicks people around, talks bad to people, misuses words, misuses their power to be able to beat you down as a human being. Now you want to be able to stand up and say, I'm not going to let this take my life. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be able to say, I survived this. I learned from this. I grew from this. So that way, the next soldier that's thinking about either eating their gun, jumping from a bridge, or just taking a lot of pills, if they just have one moment of your time to say, I understand. I haven't been in your shoes, but I want you to be able to tell me what's going on. I can't fix everything, but I can give you a place to start.
You thought about doing a couples veterans retreat.
Yes.
Because, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, to go, if I'm having all these issues, it's going to be hard for me to go, okay. And all of your retreats are not just for veterans, by the way, right? You're doing retreats in general for groups and businesses and whatnot. But, like, unless it's like a corporate thing, or like, it's hard to go, I'm going to go on a retreat unless there's some like specific thing, or, you're seeking a sense of community if you're going to go and meet and connect with this other specific group of people. But I think I'm like, you heard of the movie, I saw the movie Couples Retreat. It's hilarious.
And that's what we thought of. That's what we talked about at this last retreat. We talked about, I told everybody, I was like, for the next retreat, I want I want you to bring a partner. I want you to bring your significant other or a really close friend. I said, I want you to be able to bring someone that you think will benefit from this retreat just as much as you. Because I realized that people go better if they have someone that they can either partner up with or someone that they live with, and they can share this scenario, so then that way they grow together. So then that way there's a two-way story on how you're coping when it's all said and done. That is the whole focus. And it's all about answering questions that you wouldn't answer for yourself if you've never been asked certain questions, because you want people to dig deeper than surface level. So I normally ask certain questions that most people wouldn't think about, even navigating certain ways of how they deal with their daily life. I wanted each one of my people that came, I wanted them to at least take one day out of their week to self-care. Don't care what it is, not to do any work, just to do something for themselves that made them feel good by the end of the week. And then we do a weekly check-in. So then that way.
Okay. So if someone wants to get information about how they would book a retreat, or even just getting a hold of you because they maybe want to do a retreat for their groups, or maybe it's another veterans organization that would like to have a retreat for their group, and they just don't have the skill, like all the parts to put it together, the where, whatnot. How do they get a hold of you?
They would be able to reach me either on Instagram with Black Collective Experience or Let's Talk Veterans, or they can just
Okay.
reach out to me, Let's Talk Veterans at gmail.com. And just reach out, either on Facebook, Instagram, or my email. It's easy to be able to contact me. And even if you can't contact me, you can always contact people that know me and they'll be able to put you in the right direction of how to be able to get help getting these built. Right now, I'm trying to get some help because I know that building these things are not that easy, especially when I'm already having a busy. a
So for some partners, is what you're saying? You're trying to look for some partners to help with your
Yeah, I
retreats?
mean, I wouldn't mind being able to get some assistance, being able to, do t-shirts, merch and stuff that we'll have. Every now and again, I wouldn't mind, having some vendors come and show up. Every now and again, I'm looking for different people to show up because I do have a psychiatrist that I do have that participates. I have a massage therapist that will show up on site if we need to add him into it. So, I want to be able to expand this. I want to be bigger and be able to be more prosperous and be able to show people, we're out
Well,
here, we're helping, we're supporting,
well,
and
you're going to. I can tell for sure. So you're not alone. Is kind of the thing. Like we've got just like so many different stories out there, so many people, and if you've been thinking, you know what, I need to connect with some other veterans, or maybe I've got some questions, it's a seriously intimidating thing. It's actually not that hard. I went and looked up the information myself. In fact, when I called the local regional office, gentleman answered the phone. He was incredibly nice. I think his name was Dan or something. Like there are other people that work there. They're there to actually help you, and they can do it. But just to get started with it is a thing, and where to go or where to begin is a thing. And that part I get. So there are people that are out there that literally do this. You mentioned Donna. She's got partners like people like Tony that actually will help you with your filing and get that navigated for you. So if that's something that you're just like kind of lost on, you're not alone, friend. Been there, and my girl's got you. And then on the other side of it is, sometimes we just got to take time out for ourselves because we give everything
yeah,
to everyone. And, it's okay to put some boundaries up, even if you can't go on a retreat
right.
sometimes. But it was a good talk about today. I appreciate you letting me just kind of share my story with that. I figured it would come back out eventually, but I'm glad if it was going to, it was with you.
Right.
I love you,
Because I
sis.
mean, I love the fact that you found your way and you actually trusted us to be able to go back and look at it and do the work. Because at the end, it benefited you in the end, because you deserve to get the benefits from it,
I
you
haven't
know.
gotten shit, just so you know. They're
I
still
thought you
messing.
were able to do your VA stuff, your house and
No,
everything.
no, fuck that. That's like it's been this whole thing, and I'm telling when I say I'm telling people, I'm just being real. I'm not like, oh, it was such a great success story. No, it wasn't. It was fucking
Yeah.
pain. It was awful. It was painful. It sucks to have to look at shit, to be rejected, and then be told you don't exist. And then it's like, oh, by the way, you did this. It's like, we're going to fucking black out some of your information because we don't believe you deserve it. I stopped. I paid so much to help get into this beautiful house that we're in, and just did a traditional mortgage because for me, it was too painful and too much of a hurdle to go through. It doesn't mean I'm not going to go back to it again, but I
Yeah.
know that at least now I have the resources and the people to help me with it. But no, I nothing happened with that. I'm somebody that is still I don't need anything from them and it's fine. But the big thing for me is now I know and I can move on with my life and my story. I don't need my past to help me with my today.
Oh no.
So
Because I mean, we have to benefit from some of the things that we've dealt with, and just so that way we don't repeat the same things, or
I'm
we
not going to
allow people to
benefit from
repeat.
it. Here's the thing. I'm not going to benefit from it, but this story today
No, that yeah,
to help somebody else
it can
moving forward.
definitely help someone else. Definitely help someone else.
Thanks for being here, Donna. I love you, girl.
I appreciate you having me. I love you too. Can't wait to see you again.